Hi, gorgeous, and welcome to this era of you. This is an invitation for you to start stepping into being fully you more and more boldly, more and more profoundly, and more unapologetically. My name is Baiba, and I want to talk to you about your essence because at the foundation of uncovering, connecting with, and then activating your purpose, so starting to live work and life that is fully yours, starts with your essence. And what is this mystical thing, your essence? So you can think about it as this ethereal body, this energetic body that is animating your physical. So, of course, we are all so seduced and so, in ways, distracted just by this physical reality that our eyes are able to perceive. But behind it, right, there's a life force, there's an essence that animates you. And this essence is where the codes lie. This essence is where your power lies. This essence is where your answers lie. So, your purpose, so the answers, including your purpose, are encoded in your beautiful, in your magnificent essence. And your essence is powerful. It doesn't have the conditioning, the limitations, the lack that much of the time we perceive in this world. But what happens is that there can be a big disconnect that can happen between your kind of the day to day reality and then the connection and hearing your own beautiful essence. And you might think, how come, right? And it can happen due to so many reasons. I will just name, one of them. For example, it could be that my personal experience was that in my childhood, I didn't have emotionally attuned parents, and they had their own things going on. Uh, my dad was emotionally abusive to his family. He was a narcissist, so there was that dynamic that's far from emotional attunement that a young child needs. And then my mom was not a bad person, but she was obviously stressed by the whole situation. There were so many survival things going on in her own mind, dealing with the situation, um, that she was also not able to be there, attuned to a young child consistently, provide the nurturing love and support and being there that a child below 6 7 years old really needs. And so to survive, I needed to kind of figure out a way to adapt to function in that kind of container, in that kind of a setting. Once I got to the age of 6 7 8, I was doing things that others expected me to, and also doing things to avoid like any kind of outrage or an emotional consequences, or um, I felt really afraid of my dad. And so I would do whatever needed to be done to cope. So the last thing was actually um, ability to be vulnerable and be myself. So I needed to please and to adapt to be able to, live in that household with those dynamics. So many times, due to different reasons, and different circumstances, it can happen starting from the childhood where you need to adapt and tone down your own needs or kind of your own direction and following your own direction to survive, to cope. And then it can happen earlier or later in the childhood. It can happen not only because of family, but also because of schooling, teachers, different well meaning people who start to pile on their conditioning, their advice, their truths onto you. And of course, we take it on. So much of the time, we are so programmable, we don't even question it. But at some point of time, if you've been existing and functioning in this world according to outside beliefs, according to outside agendas, it can systematically tone down and almost like beat your own essence out of you. But it's still there. It's just that the connection, it's kind of really interfering with the signal and that connection with the deeper truth that is within you. So, an example of your own essence would be that feeling. Have you felt that knowing, right? If there's a call on your heart for something more, like you cannot stand even to think about the idea of putting more life force behind more PowerPoints or demanding client presentations or dashboards or whatever sometimes your boss or your clients or different stakeholders are asking for. And it takes you a long time kind of to get yourself together to muscle through it, or kind of you do it and then you feel depleted. But inside of you, right, you can be doing this for a year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, but inside of you there's that feeling, that knowing. It's more than a feeling that keeps kind of perking up, bubbling up. Hey, you are meant for something more. There is something more that you came here to do. There must be something more. Sometimes it's almost like a desperate cry. It can range, right? From this kind of just like, hey, hey, there's something more. You're bigger than this. It's not really worth your life force. And sometimes it starts to grow. And so we can go through these cycles, or um, sometimes it takes some sort of event or a litany or kind of like a cascade of events to bring you down to kind of waking up or making you wake up to that call and take steps. It could be being laid off, it could be a health scare, it could be a health challenge, right? That it seemingly doesn't have any answers. The labs are fine, but you still feel the way you feel. Something is off. So there can be many forms how this knowing is trying to knock on the doors of your awareness. So, your essence is trying to bubble up and it's trying to get your attention. And one of the ways that it does that is through the language of intuition. And it's a beautiful thing. And at the same time, it is not always straightforward or easy to hear because intuition is not forceful. And in this world, especially if you worked in structured corporate environments uh, that encourage willfulness, forcefulness, setting goals, going after them, very kind of direct, linear pursuit of accomplishment, right? It's all get up and go after it. So it's forcing, it's willing, it's making it happen. And intuition is much different. So intuition is subtle. right? It's like a faint ping, but it doesn't force itself. So this is where this kind of the essence is talking to you in a very different way than this forceful, willful way. And so that's why it's so easy to overlook for years. Your essence could be talking to you, that knowing could be there, kind of at different levels of intensity, different intervals of time. Here it is, and then it goes away, and then something happens. You hear somebody speak, you see an example of somebody living in their purpose, like soul it up, energized, maybe a coach, maybe a podcaster, maybe a book author, a speaker, somebody around you. You go to an event and you see a person lit up, like fully animated. It's almost like a Christmas tree that has its lights on. It's sparkly, it's beautiful, it's glowing. And then that wakes up the remembrance in you, because your essence know that you can have that expression as well. It's available to you if you start walking the path. So you can also think about your essence as a puzzle. So if you've ever seen a world puzzle or puzzle of United States, in the different states are the separate puzzle pieces. So my son used to love puzzles when he was 4, 5, 6 years old, and we had these map puzzles, and you piece together, right? You had South Carolina, California, Texas, Massachusetts, right? You're adding these, putting the puzzle pieces in the right places, and so it happens with your essence. So think about your essence as this beautiful puzzle, and imagine that it's like glowing, that each piece, as you place it in the right place, it lights up. So the more and more pieces you piece together and light up in your own puzzle, in your own essence, the more it starts to come online, and the stronger the answers, the stronger your intuition becomes, the more you actually hear your own purpose. And you can start walking it step by step. But it's kind of like a catch 22. You have to start listening and start taking the steps for the puzzle to start to grow and align and start to light up more and more pieces. Because if you don't, then it stays the same, more or less, right? You you're experiencing whatever you're experiencing, this like some kind of dissatisfaction, right? Some kind of like inner dissonance. You feel something is off, but you kind of like so many things are working that you keep building this house of cards of external check boxes, right? Whether you're making the money, you have the benefits, right? You have the security of a job, it pays for your bills, for your home, your kids, family responsibilities. So, kind of like this house of cards on the outside, looking in is working, but from the inside looking out, you have that knowing, and it's coming from your essence that everything is not quite all right. And you definitely don't want to get to your 70s, 80s, 90s, right? And look back and think, what if I actually tried to live, or had courage to live life on my own terms? What if I had the courage to live a life of my own making? A life that's fully satisfying to me. Because at the end of the day, nobody really will matter their opinion. In terms of their opinion, judgments, what they thought will matter. because what will matter is your own knowing, which always follows you, whether you went for a full expression of your own self. And that is a full expression of your own essence, of your beautiful, magnificent essence. So, throughout the mentorship program, throughout these lessons, throughout this guidance, I am inviting you to take these steps that are designed to activate the connection with your own essence so you can start living your purpose, and it will have cascading effects in other areas of your life because your essence is where everything, your full 360 life emanates from, including your work, including your purpose. And it's just so near and dear to my heart because you spend so many hours, so much time of your beautiful life force working, doing something that's a part of your mission. So might as well start waking up to the real one, which you truly came here and are so capable and so uniquely equipped to do and truly dedicate and devote these precious hours of your life to. And if it's not enough to do it for you, do it for your children. Do it for your loved ones, nieces and nephews. Do it for the next generation because it doesn't matter what you teach kids. If you have kids, you know you can be preaching them, telling them what's the right way to live, what will serve them, and it goes one ear in, the other ear out. What they are attuning to is you, your day to day expression, your feelings, how you are conducting and living, and what example are you showing in action. The words fall flat, but they really take notice of your lifestyle, essentially, of your day to day, what you are modeling. So, it is my sincere conviction that the best thing you can give to your kids is modeling a life and work fully lived, fully embodied, and the full expression of your own essence because your kids will learn from that. Kids learn, whether it's like a happy Friday and weekend only thing or whether mommy, daddy, aunt, whoever, right? How are they radiating life or are they going through motion? So sometimes it's not enough motivation to do it for ourselves. Sometimes we need the extra fire, the extra push, the extra reason to show up and walk this courageous journey back to yourself. This is literally what is meant by the journey coming home to you, because depending on how far you veered from your own essence and the guidance and connection of it, the journey can be layered. So, but it's super doable. The more pieces you light up, the more it will come online and you will be guided. You will start to take aligned steps and find that work that is actually energizing and life giving to you. And in turn, you will be of most service to whoever you're meant to be of service to in this life. So let's go. I hope that this was a good enough explanation, a clear enough explanation of what is your essence. And if you have any further questions, send me a message either on Instagram or in the comments. Let's dive in. So, each part of the mentorship program that I teach is designed directly to support you reconnecting and lighting up more and more pieces of your own beautiful, unique, magnificent essence.